Well, we got another season down under our belt, which means it is time for my monthly video to talk about how I'm going to be spending my resources in the coming month, which I'm actually really excited to do. I've been looking forward to April since I saw it, primarily because I am missing quite a few of the cards in the Spotlight caches coming in April, so really excited. At one point in time, I didn't have any cards in the April Spotlight caches, but that has changed a little bit just because with things like Sanctum Showdown and the random slot in the Spotlight caches, I have picked up a few of them. But overall, it's still a fantastic month for me personally on what I'm actually going to be pulling for. As always, this video is just kind of my opinion. It's how I'm going to be spending my resources, and a lot of it is actually driven around what I think is going to be fun, what I'm going to have a good time with, and what honestly cards I feel like are going to go good in decks that I own. But outside of that, let's dive in there. I always start out by talking about what is the current state of my collection, and we'll kind of go from there. And for my collection, I finally broke 9,000. So insert the Vegeta meme here. I'm sitting at 9,007 for my collection level. I also have 16 Spotlight keys burning a hole in my pocket, and also have 15,000 tokens, which that was all calculated. It's all been planned primarily because I wanted to go into April with 20 keys essentially available to me, and I didn't quite hit that goal. I ended up spending 4 on Khonshu, which is fine. It's going to happen. And so I am sitting on 16 right now. And I think that it should be enough for me to get everything that I want to this month. It's just that May and beyond at this point is what I'm going to be looking to collect for. But overall, I am also missing about 30 cards in total, most of those being Series 5. And honestly, 30, I was expecting to be missing more than that. So I guess that's not too bad. But overall, that is the state of my collection. Let's dive in there and let's look at all the new cards coming in April. And of course, we're going to start off with the Season Pass card in Captain Carter. She's a 4/3 ongoing. Add this card's power to your back row cards here. Can't add to itself, which I mean, it makes sense. You can't add that power to herself. But I mean, it just sounds like a really strong ability. I mean, as she is now, if you put her in the front row and fill up that lane, she's a 4/9, which, those stats aren't great. But as soon as you start buffing her, she gets really good, which I mean, I was kind of playing around with what that play line would be in my mind. And I was like, well, if you Galacta her, you throw it on Galacta on turn 4, then you Captain Carter on turn 5, but then you have to fill up that lane on turn 6 with other cards. That kind of feels to me that maybe that's a little bit of overdoing it, because you're spending a lot of power on that one lane. But I don't think you necessarily even need to do that. I mean, you could throw down OG Captain America in the lane with her, and then something cheap like Ant-Man and another 1 cost in there, and then all of a sudden she's going to be getting 2 power from Captain America. She's a 4/15. So I think that it's going to be really cool to get our hands on her and play around with her. I also thought it was really interesting that she's a 4 cost, because immediately when I first saw her, I was like, oh, Moonstone's going to be gross. But no, she's 4. She will not work with Moonstone. But I think there's just a lot of really strong ongoing cards coming down the pipeline, especially with the card in the first week, Goliath. And then also Speed is coming back around, so people will be able to get their hands on him. I feel like Speed is a little bit of, I'm going to say, an underrated card. I think he's a little bit boring, but I also think that he's really strong. And I think a lot of people just don't have Speed, so they don't utilize him a whole lot. But I think that ongoing this month could be really strong, especially with the addition of Captain Carter. I think the one thing I do want to point out is that at this point in time, with fairly good confidence, I can probably say the shield is not going to work with her. So Sam Wilson, I don't think it is. And I kind of discussed this a little bit in my data mine video, because she's not a Captain America. For the same reason that Captain Marvel, it doesn't count for her, which I know Captain Marvel doesn't use the shield, but Captain Carter's not a Captain America. But I know there's always going to be semantics that people argue about with it, but I think it's safe to assume that the shield's not going to work with her. But I will say, I think that the shield will work very well with Captain Carter in having a very easy ability to fill up the lane and get her buff. I think that's going to be a fantastic way to not spend energy, but to fill up and get that bonus power for Captain Carter herself. So I still think that Sam Wilson and OG Captain America are going to be cards that you're really going to want to run with Captain Carter. But I'm excited to play her. As always, if you're going to spend money on the game, the season pass is the best way to do it. And I think she's going to be really good. I cannot wait to get my hands on her. Let's dive into the first week. All right, week 1, we've got April 1st through April 8th. We've got Goliath being joined by Gwenpool and Cersei. Goliath is a 2/1 ongoing +1 power for each other ongoing cards you have in play. I think that Goliath is going to be an exceptionally strong card. What I actually really like about him is he's a 2 cost. Up until Sam Wilson, I feel like that the 2 cost slot in ongoing was really lacking. Because, I mean, if you think about it, who are you going to play as a 2 cost ongoing card up until we got Sam Wilson? You've got Lizard, which was, I mean, Blizzard's seen weird amount of play here lately, especially in Anti-Venom and with Luke Cage. But other than that, you had Ravonna, which Ravona's more of an enabler. She's definitely not something you want to throw out when you need power. Ravona's a dead card on turn 5 and 6, usually, unless you want to throw her out on turn 5 for an Iron Man Mystique play. There's just not a whole lot of options. I mean, you had Dazzler, but Dazzler fits better into Zoo because ongoing decks usually don't fill up the entire board to fully take advantage of her. And I guess what's your other options? I mean, no one's playing Colossus. No one's actually playing Mojo. So I feel like the Goliath is really filling in a section in the ongoing deck that we really kind of needed. I think up until now, for me personally, ongoing decks, I was throwing in Armor just because I knew she was going to get buffs. That's it. I was throwing her in just because I knew she'd get buffed by Captain America. She's an ongoing card. She's going to hit by Spectrum. And I just think moving forward, Goliath is going to be a much better option for that. And on top of it, I mean, he's not a sexy card. I mean, let's be realistic here. A +1 power for each ongoing card you haven't played doesn't really like, ooh, wow. But I mean, if you play 7 cards in a game, I mean, he's going to be a 2/7. And on top of it, one of those Moonstone, you have him and Moonstone in a lane. All of a sudden, that's a lot of power. I mean, he's going to be 2/7. She's going to be, 4/6 plus another 7, 13. I mean, 20 power in lane for the 2 cards. And then you can, put your other 5 cards anywhere else. So I think he's going to be good. I do. I'm wondering how much people are going to actually enjoy Goliath, because I'm thinking maybe he goes the route of speed, because I feel like speed is a really, really good card, but he is a little bit underrated. I think that he's boring, but he's just good consecutive power. But I'm looking forward to Goliath. I will be actually spending tokens on him. This is one of those weeks where I managed to picked up Cersei in Sanctum Showdown, which is kind of unfortunate. But I did have Gwenpool, which she was the only card in all of April that I did own when I saw the data mine. Which, when I was going into it, I needed, Goliath and Cersei, so I was kind of fine rolling on Gwenpool. But at this point, I'll probably be using tokens on Goliath. More than likely. But either way, definitely will be chasing after this card. I think Goliath is going to be super strong. Looking forward to getting my hands on him as well. All right, week 2. We've got April 8th through April 15th. We have Kaori being joined by Cole Obsidian and Hydra Bob. Straight out of the gate, I really want Cole. I really want Hydra Bob. They're 2 cards that have managed to escape me for a very long time. So looking forward to getting both of them. Kaori in herself is a 4/6. On reveal, each card in your hand gives one of your cards in play plus power. I think that she sounds like she just sounds like a lot of power. She honestly does. If you've got a full hand with 7 cards in it, you play her out there, she's at least putting additional 6 power on the board. She's a 4/12. That doesn't suck. That's Ares, essentially. I mean, it's Ares, but it's spread out a little bit more. I think she's gonna go great in card gen decks. Looking forward to her primarily also because I feel like, and I'm always looking for reasons to play Devil Dinosaur. She bringing Devil Dinosaur back in. So I'm really, really excited to kind of get my hands on her and see how she actually does. I think the only thing that I am worried about is how that power is going to disperse. I'm worried that it's going to be like Bullseye, because Bullseye cannot hit cards more than once. And it just says gives one of your cards in play +1 power. So that means you have to have a full hand of 6 cards, and you potentially have to have 6 cards on the board. So by turn 4, maybe. So really curious, really curious to see how that kind of turns out with her. I'm excited to give her a whirl though. I think she does sound fun. She fits into that card gen Victoria Hand kind of style deck. I really have wanted to circle back to those since she came out. I haven't played Victoria Hand since she released, and I kind of want to dive in and give her another try. And I think Kaori is going to be a fantastic reason to do that. and especially with things like Devil Dinosaur. I think the one thing about it though is what we kind of learned with, you know, those style of decks is initially, you know, you're playing the Nick Furies and all the big cards. I think it's going to really focus on, you know, your Agent Coulsons, your Kate Bishops, and all the, you know, the ones that kind of generate the smaller, cheaper cards. And I think that's going to fit in really well with this because you're going to have a full hand of a bunch of cheap cards rather than having those big monsters out on the board. So really, really looking forward to Kaori. I think this is going to be a good week. Cole Obsidian just kind of keeps finding himself in decks, though I will say his stocks are a little bit down with the change to Sam Wilson, which is fine. I still want him. I still think that he does find himself in decks every once in a while. I mean, people were throwing him in Zoo there for a little bit, which was very intriguing. And then Hydra Bob, I still think is one of the best one drops in the game. So really cannot wait to kind of get my hands on him. But spending probably at least 3 to 4 keys on this week myself. We got week 3, April 15th through April 22nd. We have Infinity Ultron being joined by Cannonball and Pixie. The unfortunate thing for me this week is that I did pick up Cannonball from Sanctum Showdown. God, that event really just killed my clean sweeps on a few of these weeks here. That's all right. So Infinity Ultron is a 5/6. On reveal, add 2 Ultron stones to your hand. So the Ultron stones are the Power Stone. On reveal, double Infinity Ultron's power. The Reality Stone, on reveal, add a drone here, set its power to Infinity Ultron's. The Time Stone, on reveal, put a card from your hand here. The Space Stone, on reveal, move the lowest power enemy card here to the location of Infinity Ultron. The Soul Stone, on reveal, for each of your full locations, give one of your cards there +2 power. And the Mind Stone, ongoing, your on reveal abilities here happen twice. Sounds a little busted there, but and I think he's gonna be fun. I do. I think that Infinity Ultron, he's gonna be a turn 5 play, and the stones are gonna be your turn 6. I think that he is probably less comparable to Thanos and probably more like a in-game Kate Bishop. Each of these stones are all really strong in their own right. I mean, we saw what the Winds of Atum did for Agamotto. So even stuff like the Space Stone, move the lowest power enemy card here to the location of Infinity Ultron, could be really, really interesting. That one alone is not that impressive. It's probably the weakest of the bunch, and that's still a super strong ability. Like I said, we saw what Winds of Atum did. This doesn't have the -5 power, whatever how many it did, but having the ability to target what you're moving and knowing exactly where it's going is honestly sounds really, really good. I think overall, I'm looking forward to Infinity Ultron. And yeah, I think he's going to be a strong card. He's going to be a really strong Kate Bishop. I don't really have a whole lot to say on him outside of that. I think the other thing is that Kate Bishop is shown to be extremely versatile. I think the one outlying thing is that he's going to have a little bit more RNG to it than Kate Bishop did, mainly because she's got 4 arrows. He's going to have potentially 6. And I think if you play him out and you have something else you want to play on turn 6, then he's not that impressive. So I think there is that gamble a little bit of you're going to be playing him out hoping for a specific stone that you need in the moment, and sometimes you're going to get it and sometimes you're not. So really, really curious to see, kind of what that feels like, because there's a little bit of RNG to it, and we know how RNG works in this game. We all, not all of us, but some of us did play Bruce Banner. We know what that RNG feels like in the game. It's not going to be there when you need it to be. But overall, I think it's a really great week. I think Cannonball is a fantastic card. Pixie, very niche. I don't own her, so I don't ever see Pixie anymore. Every once in a while, I'll see Pixie, and it's usually from like an Airshim deck. But I think overall, it's a really, really good week. If you don't have Cannonball, I definitely think he's something worth chasing after. And I do think that Infinity Ultron is going to be an exceptionally strong card when he launches. So I will be rolling on this week for sure. All right, we got week 4, April 22nd through April 29th. We have Strange Supreme being joined by Speed and US Agent. Strange Supreme is a 2/2. Gains +2 power from merging. End of turn, merge one of your created cards into this. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be really good. Especially, I mean, even outside of things like Airsham, if you're playing, you know, a card gen deck, if you're playing, I mean, Kate Bishop, or anything like Quinn, you know, anything that's generating cards and you have a Quinjet out there, you can throw out some cheap power. I think it's going to be really, really strong. I think the other thing that I do want to kind of point out, which is very interesting, is end of turn, merge one of your created cards into this. It doesn't say here. It doesn't have to be in his location by the text itself. So let's say, for instance, there's a raft on the boards. You're being very aggressive. You put, you know, 4 cards out there. You're locked into that lane. Then I think that you can play other cards in other lanes, and he will suck them up. Then you're not completely, totally locked out of that lane, which, you know, that's a very, very specific example, but it's something to take into account because I mean, by his text, it sounds like he eats cards from anywhere on the board. So I think he sounds so much fun. I'm looking forward to him for that same reason that I think that Kaori could be a really interesting card. I think he's going to fit very well into that card gen style deck. I also think that because my big issue, especially with the Victoria hand style decks, was once you played out all your cards to generate cards, you were limited on space. And so now you can still play stuff. He eats it, and then you still have the room to play stuff. So I think he could be potentially a really fun, really interesting card, a very good Shang target. I think he's gonna be a really strong 2 card. I do. I think he could be a problem. So really looking forward to Strange Supreme. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I am. And he's also being joined by Speed, which is a card that, you know, I said earlier, I think is a little bit underrated. I think that Speed is a really decent card that nobody plays. And also US Agent is a fantastic Affliction card, or even a tech card. I mean, US Agent is anything from Ajax Affliction to the Small Soldiers deck with Havoc, which I've really been a fan of lately. And so I think overall, this is a really, really good week. I think it's a one to definitely keep your eye on if these are the type of decks that you know, enjoy playing. In the final week, we got week 5, April 29th through May 6th. We've got Hydra Stomper being joined by Aranya and Madam Web. It is a move player's dream. Actually, it's a dream for anyone that actually wants to be a move player, I guess is more accurate. Hydra Stomper is a 3/2, ongoing, +1 power for each one of your cards moved this game. I think that, honestly, he could be very interesting. He's an ongoing card. I think he's also he's another big card that you can play out there while you're bouncing around, you know, your Human Torches, your daggers, or whatever. He could just be sitting in a lane, just increasing in power. Plus, because he's ongoing, he doesn't necessarily even have to be out there. He could be a late game play, very similar to Morbius. I guess he is Move's version of Morbius. So I think it's something that Move's needed for a while, because I feel like one of their biggest issues is that once they kind of bounced around that one card that got huge, they're kind of locked into one lane being ginormous. So very interesting card if you are a Move player. I myself, this is the 1 week in all of April that I'm not totally locked in yet. I'm not a big Move player, but then again, I don't have all the Move cards. So it's going to be one of those ones that we get to this week, and I'm going to be looking at my resources and kind of deciding, okay, do I want to go in on this or not? Move is really strong. It's kind of been strong for a while now, especially with things like Aranya and Madam Web, and I think Hydra Stomper is just going to be another reason to give Move a whirl. And I think these are honestly the 3 cards that I am missing at this point. So, but I mean, I don't have any stuff for like the Move Bounce archetype though. These would probably get me the standard Move package. So I don't have Frigga, I don't have, you know, Toxin. So I think this would definitely be essentially me diving into this week to essentially kind of introducing myself to the higher end Move play, which, you know, we'll see what happens once we get there. But I think this is the 1 week where I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. Every other week I've been saving up for. As soon as I saw the cards, I was like, I'm all in. I was really probably more excited for April than probably any other month this year so far. I think February is pretty high for me. Was it February? I don't know. One of the months is pretty high for me. I'm not too hot on May. May's just looking okay right now. There are some cards in there that definitely interest me, but overall, I think April's the one that I'm like, okay, this looks really cool. But either way, let's actually dive in. Let's see if there's any bundles to keep an eye out for in April. Okay, I think a big one is that on April 2nd, we have Blinding Beauty, which is a Black Swan bundle. She is still Series 5, and getting a Series 5 card for $25, I mean, you're not going to get a much better deal than that if you're open to spending on the game. I think that is a fairly decent bundle to keep an eye out for. The next one is that we have Blizzard Beats on April 8th, which is one that I've been saving my gold up for, is Luna Snow for 5,000 gold and 3,000 collector's tokens. This is definitely the one that I'm spending my gold on. I know they did switch up the gold bundles on us in March. It was initially supposed to be Fenris Wolf, but now it is a Gore bundle. But I am definitely going to be picking up this Luna Snow bundle. I hope they do not change it because this is where I've been saving my gold for. I'm really looking forward to having Luna Snow in my collection. The next one to keep an eye out for is on April 16th. We got Red Wing, 2,000 credits, 3,000 gold for $35. Once again, as a Series 5 card. I don't imagine Red Wing will be dropping anytime soon because he is such a new card, but then again, Red Wing really isn't played a whole lot. So if you're interested in him, here's your chance to pick him up. Otherwise, I don't really think that you should really chase after him because he was played in that first week and then he just kind of wasn't. He kind of wasn't anymore after that. The next one is a $50 bundle. We're getting a little pricey now. It's a Kate Bishop bundle with 3,000 tokens for $50. Once again, Kate Bishop is a fantastic card, very versatile. $50 is a little steep, but if you really want her, it's a pretty cool variant, and you can have her for $50. And then the next one is on April 29th is Boom and Bloom. We've got a Rocket and Groot bundle for 3,000 tokens for $50. Rocket and Groot is probably that one card that I have a little bit of regret on not picking up because he seems to be going into everything recently. And he just kind of seems like a really strong, versatile card to have. And I think overall, there are some okay bundles this month. The Luna Snow one is definitely the one to keep an eye out for gold. And if you're willing to spend the money, there are a few decent cards here to pick up as well. But other than that, let's hop in and let's go through my summary. Okay, let's keep it short and sweet. I'm actually, once again, I've said it multiple times this month. I'm going to say it again, really excited for April. I've been saving my resources specifically for this month. Week 1, we've got Goliath, Gwenpool, and Cersei. I'll be using probably my tokens. I definitely be using tokens on this week. I actually just felt the sting of using my keys to get spotlight variants this week with Khonshu. So I definitely don't want to repeat that 2 weeks in a row with the terrible luck that I seem to have. Week 2 with Kaori, Coal Obsidian, and Hydra Bob. Definitely spending 4 keys on that week. Week 3, we've got Infinity Ultron, Cannonball, and Pixie. I probably will be spending keys on this week as well. Cannonball, I feel like, is a relevant enough card that if I did get a Spotlight variant of him, I wouldn't be that disappointed. I actually haven't seen what that one looks like for that week yet, but probably will be chasing after it with some Spotlight keys. Week 4, we've got Strange Supreme Speed and US Agent. Going all in on that week as well. Really looking forward to wasting my keys on that. And then week 5, we've got Hydra Stomper, Aranya, and Madam Web is undecided. That's a hard undecided. And like I said, it's really going to depend on what my resources are looking like and how much I'm really kind of open up. I'm open to trying to learn move when that week comes around. So that's my plan right now. This is a pretty aggressive month for me of essentially out of the 5 new cards that are coming out, I'm planning on picking up 4 of them. So yeah, I'm excited. Excited for April. Can't wait to get my hands on a bunch of these cards here. And let me know in the bottom. Let me know in the comments. Who are you planning on picking up? Is there a week you're looking out for? Is there a specific card you specifically want? Is it Infinity Ultron? I think that Infinity Ultron is going to be a lot of fun. I just like him from a thematic standpoint. I mean, it's Ultron with the Infinity Stones. I know I got a fangirled over him when he was originally announced in the data mine, but I just kind of like that character from a theme. I need to watch the show. I watched the first season, and I need to actually watch the rest of What If just to kind of see what Infinity Ultron is actually all about. But I am, you know, really excited to kind of dive into these cards a little bit. So yeah, let me know who you're excited for. Hit that like button if you did enjoy it. Please hit that subscribe button if you do enjoy my content. I'm still kind of chasing down to hit 3,000 sometime soon. And other than that, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. I hope you have a fantastic month in Marvel Snap, and I will see you guys all in the next one. See you later.